Ever since I started making videos, I've had a lot of people ask me, hey Kevin, you make custom furniture for clients all over the globe. When are we going to get a tour of the shop? Well, this is the video for that. And along the way, I'm going to show you some cool space saving techniques and storage solutions that help me fit everything I need into a 350 square foot shop. Stay tuned. Now my shop is in a one-car garage, and thankfully the garage goes the full depth of the house. We got about 12.5 feet going across and 29 feet for the depth. You do the math, it works out to be just around 350 square feet. Not a tremendous amount of space, but if we make a few concessions, we really can fit everything we need in this space. Now I know a lot of woodworkers will say their favorite tool is something like their great-grandfather's spoke shave. Not me. My favorite tool is my modern, powerful, safe, gigantic table saw. I love the power. I went with the 3 horsepower motor, never bogs down. I love the safety feature, obviously. I work alone to take one source of danger out of the equation. Gives me a lot of peace of mind. I love the router table built into the wing of the saw. Again, small shop, to not have a separate standalone router table makes a big difference. Now the router plate and the lift, those are made by SawStop, or at least sold by SawStop. The router is a Porter Cable 3 1/4 horsepower unit, which unfortunately I don't think they make anymore. It is a workhorse. Great setup, and again, big space savings. Now throughout the shop tour, I'll show you some things that I made that help you take advantage of all those dead spaces in your shop. One of them being this space under your table saw wing. So I built a rolling cabinet here. We have drawers with all our router bits and our bushings. Here we have different push sticks and throat plates for the table saw. I love having everything right next to the tool that it's used with most often. And this is several cubic feet of space, so let's use it and maximize our space. And on the back of the cabinet, a cool space to store our dado set. And the last point I want to hit on with the table saw, I don't have space for a separate outfeed table. Thankfully, they make this really neat fold out outfeed table, which works like a charm, and when you're done, just folds out of the way. Now in the rear half of my shop, the star of the show is my Workbench. Between the leg vise and the tail vise, the dog holes for hold fast, this gives me all the clamping capabilities that I need. It's super heavy, so when you're planing, it doesn't even think about budging, and it looks really cool. Now another way to reclaim space in your shop is to come up with some sort of drawer or shelf system to put underneath your workbench. If you just have a single shelf here, you're going to put a few things on it, and all this volume up here is going to go wasted. So I built this cabinet that slid right in, and I keep everything that I need at arm's length when I'm working at the workbench right here. For example, in this one I keep some precise measuring tools, dovetail jigs. Over here I have notepads and utility knives. And here I have gloves, stir sticks, stuff I just want nearby when I'm working at the bench. With the center of the shop out of the way, let's go around the perimeter of the shop and I'll show you how I have everything set up. Over here I have my lathe. It's a Jet 1.5 horsepower, great machine. One of the first things I did when I set it up was I added a shelf to the bottom of the stand. Again, utilize that space. I built some storage here to keep the lathe tools out of the way and off the floor. I'll show you how I made this in a future video. Very easy to make, very clean looking, good use of your scraps too. Close at hand to the table saw, I have some push pads and push sticks and my crosscut jig. This is the Almeyda Express. Highly recommend that. If you notice here, I have these Rubbermaid Fast Track units installed. What they are, they're a metal strip that screws into the studs, then this plastic piece goes over it, and they sell different attachments that you could attach. Between the different shapes, I could find one that could hold pretty much anything that I want. Hanging to my right, I have some roller stands, sawhorses. Here are some panel clamps, parallel clamps of course, probably more than I need. And over here we have my bandsaw. Now my bandsaw is the Laguna 1412. I think it's a really good mid-level bandsaw. It runs off 110 electricity. My only complaint I think with it is the caster system. It feels a little bit tippy when you're moving it, so be careful with that. But all in all, been very happy with it. We're now squarely in the rear half of the shop. Here I have my 8-inch jet jointer. It has a helical head, which I love, and I'm so glad I went with an 8-inch over a 6-inch jointer. So much material is between 6 and 8 inches, so if you get a 6-inch jointer, you're almost setting yourself up for frustration. Love this thing. Now, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of pegboard. I think it's a lot more versatile than a French cleat system that you'll see a lot of people using. It's just a lot easier to move things around at your whim. Now, this pegboard I got from McMaster Carr. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. It's a PVC type material. It's a lot more heavy duty and robust than the stuff you're going to get at Home Depot, that old school hardboard stuff. I think a lot of people are resistant to using pegboard because they're used to those skinny little 1/8 hooks that pop out every time you grab a tool. Very frustrating. Get the hooks with the 1/4 inch fitting. They're going to stay in place a lot more securely, and they're much more heavy duty. And you can get those also from McMaster Carr in a wide variety of shapes and sizes. And another way to regain space in your shop, movable carts that fit under the wings of your jointer. I've got all my Festool nice and neat and out of the way. Now, in this back corner of the shop, we have another rolling cart that fits under the right side of the jointer. And on the wall, we got spare blades, some measuring tools, our nail gun, our compressor. Over here, we have our good old reliable rigid oscillating spindle sander. Great tool. Built a cart for this as well. That way we have all our sandpaper and sanding disc, everything together in one spot. Over here, I built another one of those storage racks to hold marking gauges, compasses, rasps, other odds and ends. And to the right of the spindle sander, I do have a Festool vacuum. I do attach it to this when the sander is being used. And of course, it's there to attach to the various Festool power tools. And in the other rear corner of the shop, I have all my hand tools. This is the Mike Pekovich hanging tool cabinet from Fine Woodworking magazine. This thing is fantastic. It swallows up all your tools. It's got so much storage. It has doors within doors. Then the fun part is making all the custom tool holders to hold your specific collection. This thing was a lot of fun to make, and it really keeps everything organized just the way you want it. Now, below the tool cabinet, we have our sharpening station. This can pull out. We have a slow speed bench grinder with CBN wheels. We have our sharpening jigs. We have our sharpening supplies for turning tools. We have a pull-out tray with our sharpening stones. Again, everything in one spot. Over here, I tuck away my DeWalt 735. Obviously, it's on a stand with casters, so I just pull it out as needed. One thing I did do, I replaced the standard, the stock head inside, and I installed a Bird helical head cutter, which is fantastic. Don't even have to worry about grain direction when you're running material through. Don't have to worry about sharpening. A great upgrade. Now, in the workshop, an extra work surface is always welcome, but in the small shop, you don't want to be bumping into it all the time. This is a great pop-up bench top. Super strong. And when you're done, it's out of the way. Now, in the shop, I do have a couple of joists that run right across. So I made a couple of cabinets that attach right to them. And I keep all the finishing supplies, paint, some adhesives right in there, out of the way. And with the next joist, I have a cabinet on this side. And on these two sides, I set up lumber racks to keep what little lumber I keep in the shop up high and out of the way. Basically, I buy my lumber as needed, and I try to keep as little as possible in the shop because of the space. Down to our last three machines in the shop are drill press, drum sander, and dust collector. The drill press, it's a very bare bones machine. The brand is Wen, W-E-N. I think I paid $400 several years ago. So today it's probably like $17 million. I like it just fine. It's not going to win any awards, but it drills true and very little run out. I'm very happy with it. One thing I did do was I upgraded the table. This is a Woodpecker's drill press table. A nice upgrade from the little dinky metal one that came with the drill press. And yet another way to add some storage space to your shop, build a cabinet that wraps around the pedestal of the drill press and sits on top of the base. Here I have all my Forstner bits, drill bits. Down here, all my veneering supplies. So once again, utilize that space that usually sits unused. Our drum sander is a Jet 1836. I was on the fence about even getting a drum sander, but now that I have it, I use it on virtually every project. I'm really happy that I have it. It's a nice luxury to have in the shop. And finally, the dust collector. This is a Jet 1.5 horsepower unit. The filtration system does keep the wood chips and the dust separate so it doesn't clog the filter. That way the performance doesn't drop as you go, as it starts to fill up. Now, having machines ducted to the dust collector, it isn't in the cards. I just don't have the space for it. This is a nice compromise. This is Rockler's dust right system. Basically, it connects to each machine, has a fitting on this hose that fits to a fitting on the machine. No tools required, very fast changes. I like it a lot. And lastly, and leastly, my sliding compound miter saw. It's huge, takes up a ton of space, and I hardly ever use it. I should sell it, but I'm gun shy about it. I know as soon as I sell it, the next day I'm gonna need it for something. Basically, when I'm breaking down lumber, the tool I reach for first is just my jigsaw. So much easier. You know, if I had the space, a dedicated miter saw station with tons of cabinets would be beautiful. But we deal with the hands we're dealt. Don't have the room, we work around it. So that's my shop, built over the past 10 years or so. I love it. It's my sanctuary, it's my therapy, and I'm sure many of you watching can relate to those sentiments. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer each and every one of them. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And until then, I'll see you next time. Thank you.